Hello, 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 everyone. What is today? Thursday. Happy Thursday. We are getting ready to start day number 2 of Elevate Through Illumination. And I am super excited to be here with all of you guys. Yesterday was super fun, and I'm grateful for everyone that attended and even watched later. Today, hi, Andrew. Today today might be a little bit different than yesterday because I don't know what area you guys are all in or if you all have kids, but our kids went back to school like a month late. They did virtual for like a month and a half, went back for a month, and then we found out this week without warning they were not going back to school. Like on a Monday afternoon, they told us they weren't going back on Tuesday. Yesterday, my husband was here to help, and we had no problems the whole day. Today, online school for them has been nothing but problems, and I've been in there about every 20 minutes. So we are just going to roll with this day, this class, like I have all of 2020, and we're just gonna say, whatever happens, happens. We're gonna do our best, and we're all in this together. So there may be a moment or two where I have to step away to set a timer for him for his break, but I'm gonna do my best to be here as much as possible. But anybody that has kids at home that are of school age, I'm sure you understand what we're going through right now, right? So let me check who's here. Hey, Maria. Hi, Tracy. Hey, Dee Dee. Good morning. I hope you all are doing so good. So today's lesson, we're going to talk about fear, how to work through fear, how to stop fearing. And this is going to apply to many areas of our lives. This isn't going to just be for our day-to-day lives. This isn't going to be just fear of a specific thing, but also going into fear of intuition. And then we're going to learn how to start trusting spirit, how to start trusting ourselves, how to start trusting our path, the signs that are given to us. It's just, there's so much to trust, but how do we start to lean into that trust? So that's okay. So I see Maria says, my 3 boys have been out of school since last March. Yeah, we were out of school since last March too. We got a little bit of warning last March though, and then we at least saw it coming, and then they did virtual, like I said, for like a month and a half starting, and then it was just like the rug was completely pulled out from under everyone. It was just so strange. Like they could have told us over the weekend so people had time to prepare, or even that Monday, because Mondays were still like a virtual learning day. So they were only going to school Tuesday through Friday. So it's just kind of like, you just take it as it comes, right? Hi, Greg. Good morning. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much. So you guys, fear is a big thing, and I'm going to start this class. Good morning, Carrie. I'm going to start this class this morning with fearing our intuition, but I want to talk about how that shows up, because for many of us, we fear our intuition initially because we're the ones dealing with it, right? We fear, the things that we see, the things that we hear. Hi, Autumn. Oh my gosh. Hi, Autumn. I haven't talked to you in so long. I hope you're doing well. We fear the things that we see. We fear the things that we feel. And it's so hard to put a finger on them. And especially if you're someone that was like an intuitive kid, it's very hard to articulate what it is that you're feeling, right? And so as we go about our lives, we develop our own defense mechanisms. Like I talked about yesterday, I used to, I kind of like developed OCD as a way to like structure my environment so that I knew if something was in my room or something was watching me, and that it didn't really help anything at all, but it made me feel more secure, right? And then there are people that have nightmares, or they have really bad or negative experiences with spirit, and then they're like, oh, no, I want absolutely nothing to do with this. But those experiences keep happening to them throughout life, and so it scares them more and more and more. Good morning, Jennifer. It scares them more and more away from their true path. It scares them more and more away from spirit and from the divine guidance available to them, because they're saying, well, if this has been, and we can apply this to really any area of our lives, but if this has been my experience in the past, then I trust, because I know and I have already experienced this, that this will be my experience in the future. Does that make sense? So if you're looking at it with spirit and you're saying, this has already happened, these scary things have already happened, what in the hell would make me want to go jump into this even deeper? So for me, I remember one of was it my first reading? Or I think it was it was my very first reading with Wendy. I've talked about her on my blog a million times, but so I'm holding this, you guys. This is my piece of petrified wood, and there's a special story that goes with this, but if you see me fiddling with it, it's just it's a special stone. It's not a stone, but it's petrified wood. But anyway, so my first reading, I get on the phone with this woman, never met her, never seen her before. And the first thing she says to me is, Ashley, you are not crazy. You're just like me. You have spirits all around you. And she started telling me about my dark thoughts, the things that I've already told you guys. She started telling me like how scary of an emotional state that I was in at that time, because I really, really was. I was in a really dark place, and she picked up on it right away. And as we go through our call, she's telling me some of the things that I've told you guys, because those are the things that changed my life, about how when we expand our intuition, when we look into our intuition, our whole lives will change. We'll get happier, we'll get healthier, everything will change for us. She's telling me about spirit guides. She's telling me about, I think she recommended, because she wasn't in the online world at all. I found her like through a friend of a friend of a friend. And she just did readings on the side, but she told me about the book, A Return to Love. Just all of these, she gave me a couple tools, and I was a lot younger. So she gave me a couple tools to kind of like put me on my path during the session. And I'm like, okay, I'm willing, like I'll think about it. I think it was still a while after that I actually, followed through with the story that I told you guys yesterday, where I had to get mad enough to actually tap in, and, I called my friend and all of that. But anyways, during this session, she's telling me about there's a spirit trying to come through to you. And she kept saying she. And she said, the spirit's trying to come through to you. She's angry. I see her like hitting the inside of her coffin. She's like clawing at it, like not painting a very pretty picture at all. And I'm like home alone. It's nighttime. I want to say it was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I don't want anything to do with that. Like that's what I hadn't really been very open with her the whole call. I was kind of a jerk, to be honest, because I had been taken advantage of by a psychic when I was 19. Like I went into this woman, and I have a whole article about it. I won't get into it right now. I have a whole article about red flags to look out for with psychics. And it's funny because she almost pushed me away. I was thinking maybe I was intuitive, maybe I was psychic. And then I went to this woman, she ripped me off. And then I was like, oh, okay, definitely these people are fake. These people suck. And then it took me years to be like, okay, no, something keeps happening. So I'm on the phone with this woman, and she's telling me, I keep seeing this girl, and she knows you, and she's known you since high school. And I think she's saying her energy, she's known you since middle school. That's what it was. She passed from an overdose. Like she was giving me all of these things. And I was just like, listen, lady, I don't know any she that has passed from an overdose. I didn't tell her that I knew a bunch of he's that had passed from overdose, but I'm like, ma'am, I don't know. I'm sorry. And she's like, no, this spirit really, really needs your help. They need you to help them cross over. And I'm like, I'm not helping this angry spirit cross over so that they can come into my house and get me, because I had all of these negative experiences in the past, right? So I was already scared, and then I got really scared when she's actually like, there's this angry spirit that needs your help. Somehow she convinced me, and she said, okay, I'm sorry. She's like, I was reading it wrong. I couldn't really see. This is a male, not a female. And then I'm like, okay. I was like, I guess I'll help. Like the empath in me, like the guilt, the people pleaser set in. And I was like, I guess I need to help the spirit. I don't know. So I let her walk me through it. And she's like, he just needs your permission. He hasn't been able to connect with anyone from his family. He just needs your permission. You're the first one he can connect to. And I'm like, okay. So we start the process, and she's telling me what she's seeing. And then she says, Scott thanks you. Scott thanks you so much. And she's just like going, and she didn't even pause and ask me if I knew a Scott. She just kept going. And then I felt my whole body go numb, and I got really cold, and then I got really excited, and then I felt like I was, it's hard to explain, but I just felt like I was particles instead of a person. And then I saw, it was one of my very first like true clairvoyant experiences that I recognized as such, if that makes sense. So I saw like him start to elevate, and then I'm crying. And I told her, I said, so my friend Scott passed. We were in high school, I believe, when he passed, or it was right after high school. He was not old at all. But I had known him since middle school. We had, grown up together, same group of friends, crazy guy, really funny guy, and all of that came through after he crossed over. But because of the way that she was presenting him to me in the beginning, I was petrified. I'm like, no, I'm not letting this clawing spirit into my house. And that's not what it was at all. So there is so much fear around our own intuition because of the things that we've experienced. But had I not stepped up to the plate in that moment, then he might still be stuck. And then also, I wouldn't have realized what a beautiful, incredible experience it is to set a soul free. And not that I set him free, but he gave himself permission to set himself free. Like, he was just stuck. And by having someone acknowledge him, acknowledge that he wasn't where he wanted to be, and release him of that guilt, and I actually felt him go up, I felt him transition, was just the most beautiful thing. And we weren't close in physical life. Like I said, we had always grown up together. We were always in the same friend group. We were never super close. He was always a friend though. And what's interesting is he's shown up throughout the years, and he just comes in, and I like see him, and he's usually goofy and gives me like a good energy, and then he'll be on his way. But a really beautiful story is that I was giving group readings for a while, and I don't really do them so much anymore. They really drain my energy, but I was doing group readings for a while, and there was this lady there, and I like looked at the host who knew her mom. So she was my best friend's mom. She was hosting the thing, and she didn't know Scott, but she knew me and my best friend were friends with him, so she knew of him. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this lady, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And then I just looked at I call her my mom, I looked at my mom, and I'm like, I keep seeing Scott. Like, this is the weirdest thing. Like, I don't know why I keep seeing Scott. I'm trying to read for this lady, and I keep seeing Scott. And this lady just starts bawling her eyes out. And she said, Scott was like a son to me. He was dating my daughter. He lived with us for a while. Like, she was taking care of him. And then later on, a couple years down the line, actually, she might be in this group, I'm not sure. A couple years down the line, I get I'm on the phone, I'm having a reading, same thing happens. I didn't know it was actually his girlfriend. And so Scott has really played a big part in my development since my very first actual like real mediumship reading, and he still pops up every once in a while connecting me to certain people. And so it's just, I'm giving you guys this example, one, to see how powerful this is and to see how guided you are, but also to see that it can look scary. It can look really, really scary, but it's really such a very beautiful thing if you choose to venture down this path. And it will change your life completely just by being available to tap into your intuition. Like that day, I wasn't practicing mediumship. I wasn't even interested. Like I didn't even think, I mean, I'd always been interested. I thought it was cool because it was a part of me and I didn't know that, but I wasn't looking into mediumship. I wasn't looking into intuition or anything like that. And so I just made myself available during that session with her. And then my whole freaking life changed. My whole life changed from that one moment of her, one, saying, you're not crazy, you have spirits all around you. And then two, being really, really scared, choosing to step in and choosing to allow spirit to work through me, if you will. So Yeah, it can be scary. And most of the time people get scary, and I think I'm going on this because I don't even really think I put this into this presentation, but people are scared of ghosts. And you guys, let me tell you something here. So this is something that I didn't know, and I think a lot of us don't know. First of all, ghosts are just gonna be stuck spirits. Like, they're just spirits that didn't cross over when they should have. So, or when they had the opportunity to, for whatever reason. Sometimes it's that they're scared, sometimes they weren't ready to go. Like, they all have their reasons. And so we see them because they're a more dense type of energy. I almost said denser. They're a more dense type of energy. So that's why sometimes people see them. That's why they experience them. And just like, think about it. If you were stuck in a place that you didn't want to be for a long time, you'd probably get a little grumpy too. So they might move things around in your house. They might make some noise, but really all they're trying to do, if that keeps happening, is get your attention so that you can... Sometimes we just need to acknowledge them so that they can move past. Like I said, I don't know if I said it in here or one of the videos that I added in the course, I can't remember, but I was just meditating at a park one day and ended up like crossing two spirits over just randomly. Guys, give me one moment, please. My son is off of his call. I need to help him really quick. I will be right back. Work from home, school from home, life. I'm sure you guys can all get it. Thank you for being patient with me. So where were we? Okay, so I was meditating that one day, and I'm just like in the car meditating because it was on my lunch break in this historic part of town. And then I just see like this, I think it was like a mother and a daughter. I just see these two spirits come in, like dressed in 1800s clothes, and like I helped them cross over. And it was just, obviously, fast forward from then. One second, guys. Have to open a banana. Okay. Shut the door, please. Real life. This is real life, guys. Okay. So I help them cross over. And so sometimes when there is a spirit that's hanging around, or you can't get rid of them, or they're just, you can feel them in your home, what they need is acknowledgement. So what I talked about yesterday was one of the things that actually pushed me to start working with my intuition, pushed me to do the things like I did, like I built the course off of. The intuitive development course has all the things that I was trying to teach myself. It's all in there, and it's all weeded out for you, so you don't have to sort through all these crazy things. But one thing that really helped me to make the leap and say, okay, I'm ready to do this, is that spirit that was hanging around my house. The spirit that was hanging around my house was so dense and so intense. Like, he wasn't mean, he wasn't bad, but there were other people. My friends would come to my house, and there were two rooms in particular, and I never told anyone. It was the upstairs guest room, which I told you guys yesterday, and then my downstairs bathroom. And I had two different friends come in, and they were like, I feel like there's a man in your bathroom watching me, and I know that it's not, because it was a tiny little like half bathroom, but they're like, I'm really creeped out. Like, I think your house is haunted. And my house wasn't old or anything, so it didn't make any sense, that it would be haunted until we found out what we found out later. And so with that one, what happened too? And I didn't even realize what I was doing at the time. But when I started setting those boundaries, and I got pissed off enough because I went all mama bear because I felt the spirit in my room with my child, and my dog started barking in the middle of the night, then I'm like, okay, I don't know who you are, but you've got to get out. I send you away, and I send you away with love, and I hope that you can find healing, and I hope that you can find peace, but you gotta go. This is my space now, and you gotta go. And so that's part of how we set our boundaries. But you can talk to spirit, your spirit guides, spirits hanging around you, ancestors, the universe, however you want to look at it. You can talk to them just like you would talk to anybody else. There's no magical word or process that you need to do to talk to them. They were people, or if they're angels or very high vibe spirits, they can still understand you. So it doesn't need to be like a formal process unless you're trying to give a reading or something like that. Now, what I will say, without getting too off topic and going too much into like the intuitive development course, that's what's going to teach you all of these technical types of things, is you do need to set boundaries before you start meditating and calling in your spirit guides and we're doing any work with ghosts or doing any kind of crossing spirit over, or being like, okay, I feel there's a ghost in my house. Like, what do you want? There is a process in place that you need to do before that to protect your energy and to make sure that you're getting the right kind of communication and clear communication. And that starts with setting your boundaries, protecting your energy, defining which is your strongest intuitive ability, so clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance, and so on, and then flexing the right muscles. Because again, I will say it 1,000 million times, if you are doing squats, you're not going to get bigger biceps. And like they said yesterday, you're not going to taste with your eyes. Or you're not going to hear with your eyes. So you need to make sure that you're using the right sense for you to connect and to communicate. Does that make sense, guys? So, okay, I could talk about that stuff all day, but that's why I have over 30-something videos in the intuitive development course to help you, because I literally could talk about it all day and then we wouldn't get through this. So that's part of the fear. Part of the fear is feeling things, seeing things, knowing things are there, knowing that, excuse me, ghosts are there, or knowing that the energy of someone else is around you, but not knowing what to do about it, not knowing how to tap into it, feeling like it's an angry spirit. And then remember, and this is what I started this whole tangent on, is remember that you have control. We have control because we're still the ones that are here. Every spirit, every living being that is here, whether it's a blade of grass, a tree, a dog, me, or you, chose to be here. They chose to be here for a reason. They have a job to do. They have a purpose. You have a purpose to do. You might feel like you're just like this being going through the motions, and that's what we're trying to get you out of. We're trying to get you out of going through the motions and experiencing and living and loving your life, because it is possible for you. But just remember that you chose to be here. So by you choosing to be here and you still being here, you are the one in control. You are the one in control of your energy. You are the one in control of what you receive. And you are the one in control of any spirit that is trying to connect with you. And this is why, and so this will be the last thing I say about this. This is why those negative energies, those negative spirits are often felt before, because we don't have any boundaries up. We don't have any walls up. We don't say, this is who can come, this is who can't. So like I said yesterday, we're like this big, huge light in the middle of a summer night that like every single thing is attracted to, right? So when we realize, oh wait, I have the power. I am the one in charge. I say who can come through, who can't. When we start setting those boundaries, that's when things shift. That's when things become beautiful. You have all these guides. You have all these angels, all these ancestors. You have so much available to you. You have so many, like I get so pumped about this. You have so many beings that love you unconditionally, that are around you, that want to help you, that want to support you. But they do respect your boundaries. They do respect that you haven't called them in. They do not want to scare you. So a spirit guide hanging around you that you can feel might actually scare you because you haven't identified their energy yet, right? So these guys are hanging out in the background and they want to help you. They want to help you manifest. They want to help you get your guidance. They want to help you see all the miracles, all the synchronicities. But until you invite them in, and until you kind of clear all that other stuff out of the way, it's really hard for them to make their way in. Now, there is like divine intervention and things like that in emergency situations, or like I said yesterday, when your vibe is just naturally high. But more often than not, your guides, angels, spirit team aren't going to come through because they don't want to invade your personal space. So when you learn that you're in control, you set the boundaries, they come through with ease, right? Okay. So that is a whole little side tangent. Now let's get to the actual presentation, okay? So if there are any parents on here and you think you might have an intuitive kid, this lesson coming up next is going to be really, really important for you to hear, coming from an intuitive kid. I was a very intuitive kid. And I get questions all the time, like, how can I help my intuitive kid? One, you can help your intuitive kid by helping yourself, because as you learn these techniques, as you learn what to do, even if you're not super intuitive yourself, like I said, this course is for everyone. This isn't for just somebody trying to be a medium. This is for people learning to just flow with life, doing that internal healing, making themselves available to the guidance, being in flow with the universe. So you're going to get a lot out of it. You're going to get just as much out of it as anybody else, but you're going to get a lot out of it, and then you'll have the lessons and the knowings to help your intuitive kids if you want, or if they're ready, okay? So this lesson isn't about them, but it will help you to understand how to help them, if that makes sense. So as children, we are taught the belief systems of our families, of those caretaking for us, right? We're taught the belief systems of those around us. For me, like I said yesterday, half of my family was pretty religious. My mom on the other side was like, we go to church when I'm acting up. I need some Jesus in my life. I still laugh at that. Because we were always late and we always had to sit on the front row. It was such a story that I like crack up at now. But so we're taught the belief systems of our families. And a lot of times, our families have a lot of fears that trickle down to us, right? They have fears, they have their lack mindsets. And so mine was, half of my family is very religious, where we don't really, like, as I've gotten older, I've noticed that that side of my family doesn't even talk about angels like you would traditionally. Like, we think of like, oh, my grandmother passed, she's my angel now. And I've noticed that that side of my family, certain people are very religious, that they don't even say like, no, that person's not your angel. Which I know now, doing the work that I do, that you have the universe or God, then you have angels who were usually not physical beings. They're just so high vibrational. They're here to help all of humanity. And then you have, you know, then there's different layers, different ascension levels, which I get into in some videos. But then there are our loved ones that have crossed. And of course they act as guides. Of course they're watching over us. But I just realized that you couldn't talk about any of that stuff, any of it. It would just be very dismissed. Not negative or anything like that, just very dismissed. And then with my mom and that side of the family, I would try to talk to my mom about the things that I was feeling and the things that I was experiencing. And it didn't really go over well for me. And if I hadn't experienced it, so if I was a parent who had never felt any type of intuition because I was, how do I put this? I'm trying to put this without like throwing people under the bus unintentionally or unmeaningfully, but my mom has her own things to deal with, right? And so there's a lot of grief that hasn't been processed, and there's just a lot of some people just tend to shut themselves down, so they don't feel a lot. They won't feel a lot, even if they are incredibly empathic. They just won't feel a lot. And so if I were someone that just really never experienced anything and was always in lack and was always having negative crap happen to me, then I might not even understand the idea of intuition myself, okay? So having said that, when I was younger, I used to be like, run downstairs, there's a man standing in my room, or wake up in the morning like, hey, and this used to happen to me like almost every night. I'd look out my window and I would see like this thing set up, like I would just see people outside. It was crazy. And I'd be like, why don't you see this? What's going on out there? And my mom would be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you're making this up. She thought I was just a very imaginative child. She thought I was stalling. She thought I didn't want to go to bed. And that honestly wasn't the case. It was that I could, and I can still, like, I kind of get like shivers in my chest because I can still see it right now. Like, I'm laying in my bed and I can see the shadow of a man standing at the foot of my bed. Never messed with me, never hurt me, never did anything. And I think now maybe it was a guide that I didn't understand was a guide. But standing there, and I would tell her, and I would be upset and I would be fearful, and I would tell her about my nightmares. And if you are someone who, or you have a child who is experiencing these sleep paralysis type nightmares, and these nightmares they involve spirits, or they involve people trying to get them, or some just like negative things like we talked about yesterday, just those feelings of and not being able to sleep and trying to control your environment. Sleeping medicine is one of the worst things you can do if you are having intuitive nightmares. Now, I am not a doctor, so please don't take this as any medical advice. From experience, I had learned how to wake myself up and out of my nightmares. I had learned how to say in my dreams, and I still do this to this day, but I learned how to say, this is a dream, or you're not real, or I don't choose to experience this, or whatever it was, or get away from me, or whatever it was. I had learned to do that, and I would wake myself up and out of them. When I was on sleeping medicine, that couldn't happen. I couldn't wake myself up and out of them. So I was sleeping, my body was sleeping, I was awake, trapped inside my body is what it felt like. I was awake, trapped inside my body all night long because I couldn't then wake myself up and out of it. And it was very painful, and I was actually sleepier the next day than I was before the sleeping medicine. So just if you have nightmares, or you're having like crazy vivid dreams, and you're considering like sleeping medicine, personally, again, not a doctor, personally, I don't think it's the best choice. Do what's right for you. But again, so when you have, your family may have you feeling like you can't talk about spirit communication or intuition or receiving divine guidance. And as you do, and as you get older, as you start to experience more, and you're like, as a teenager, I didn't see so much physically, except I would still see things out of my peripheral. Now I see lights out of my peripheral, which is really beautiful, but I used to see people kind of walking in and out of doors with my peripheral. And I had written this down in like a notebook, like just journaling. Like I was just journaling about my experiences because I had no way of sharing them, and then it was found, and then I got sent to a psychiatrist because my mom thought I was crazy, and yada yada. So you learn to shut down. You learn to shut down. And so as you do this, you know, you as a child, so there's always inner child work that needs to be done in every season of life and every block we're trying to heal through. But when you look at this, you can apply this to right now. You can apply inner child work to yesterday. So if you're someone right now that's like, yes, I'm going through all this, but I didn't go through this as a kid. Like, I'm experiencing my intuition now. I'm experiencing these flashes of light now. I'm hearing things now. Why do you keep talking about kids? But how does this apply to me? So you can condition yourself into thinking that you're bad for having these things, that you're wrong, that these things that you're feeling and experiencing, that they're false, that they're only for chosen or for special people, and you're not one of those chosen or special people. Depending on your background or the things that you've grown up with, you may feel like these gifts or these things that you have are evil. I will never forget when I was trying so hard to Google, like, I think I'm psychic. What do I do? And like, I'm going down the rabbit hole of that. I found so many sites telling me that I was going to hell. I was going to hell simply for having these gifts. Not even trying to embrace them, just for having them, I was going to hell. And I do believe that a lot of people feel that way because they fear what they don't know, right? They fear what they don't know. And this is really beautiful. And it is it's in all of us. It's in all of us. This is who we are. Yes, it shows up differently for different people. I may be able to see and hear spirit, whereas you may be a healer. You can feel more energy than I can feel. Or someone may see auras and someone may see spirit. Or someone may just hear things and just know things, while another person doesn't hear or know anything at all, but they can look at a person and tell exactly what they're thinking or feeling. That is all our intuition. You cannot escape that. And like I talked about yesterday, I don't think the most logical person on earth can say that one person can't change the energy of a room, right? Like, somebody's mood can always change the energy of a room. So other people's thoughts and belief systems can trickle down to us and make us subconsciously believe that we are bad or evil, or we are wrong, or the things that we are saying are false, or we're effing crazy, or whatever. Or maybe we feel like it's sacrilegious to even think that we have these gifts or abilities. And So we talk ourselves out of them, right? Like we tell ourselves, no, this is bad. And then that's where part of the struggle begins that we talked about yesterday, is you're constantly fighting with yourself, constantly fighting the energy off, fighting off what you're feeling, trying to tune out of it. Then you're trying to tune into it and you get nothing, so you get frustrated. Like it's just this constant circle that we get to alleviate. Like this doesn't have to be a struggle anymore. It gets to be really beautiful. And when you tap into it, it will change your whole life. And I'm going to save how it really changed my life for the end of this, so tomorrow. Okay, so the problem with you developing these beliefs about your intuition, or the things that you feel and experience, are you shut yourself off from yourself. And that is something that I believe every single one of us does along the line. Again, it goes back to some inner child work, and we all have our own beliefs about ourselves. But one of mine was like, wow, my mom keeps taking me back to the doctor, and then the doctor's saying nothing's wrong with me. And then I'm negative and I'm depressed and I'm angry, and then the doctor is saying, well, to my mom, maybe you guys should change this about your home. And then my mom's like, well, I don't like that doctor. We'll go to a different one. So nothing ever got solved. And I was always the problem. No matter the situation, I felt that I was being told that I was always the problem, right? And for me, it stemmed down to my intuition. I'm feeling this stuff. It's making me feel this way. I'm acting out in this way. I'm trying to outrun myself. I'm trying to numb myself. It was just this constant thing, and it's exhausting. But when it comes to your intuition, so even again, if you weren't experiencing this as a kid, and even if you're like, well, it doesn't cause me depression, but it is a little exhausting to try to figure it out and understand it and not run from it all the time, just know that you deserve better than that. Let me put it this way. I will be exhausted. In the morning, I'll be exhausted. I will get on a session where I'm reading. I would feel oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I can't even do this reading. When I get off of that reading, I am zinging. I am pumped up. I feel good because that energy is running through me. That energy is elevating me. So when you tap into this energy, whether you're just meditating for yourself, you're learning how to ground, you're just learning about who you are and your spirit, that energy lifts you up. I have a meditation practice that I teach. I want to say it's the third little module of the course that teaches you how to ground, clear, connect, and protect yourself. And I used to do this every day at 2:00 when I worked in the office because it was like a pick-me-up. I didn't understand it then, how it was working, but I would do it and I'd be like, whew, that 2:00 feeling. It moved me past that 2:00 feeling because it fills you back up. So just understand that, it doesn't have to be exhausting. It can be really beautiful. But we need to really look at the stories we're telling ourselves around our own intuition. The stories that have been handed down to us from our families, their beliefs about intuition, their beliefs about woo-woo things. We need to really look at those things within ourselves and realize that you're not bad. You're not bad for being an intuitive person. You're not bad for receiving energy. You're not bad for receiving information. You're not bad for hearing things or seeing faces or seeing colors when you close your eyes. There's nothing wrong with you. You're tapping into who you are. You're tapping into who you've always been. Okay, so if you've had certain experiences that you've shared that made you feel crazy or sad, or people called you a liar, your inner child may have retreated. Your inner child, and I can't go into a whole lesson on the inner child right now, which I could, but we'll be here 3 hours, but your inner child gets stuck where it's hurt, gets stuck where someone said something mean, where it gets stuck where it decided oh, I'm too much. I need to shrivel up now. I need to cover up. I need to go sit in the corner. Your inner child will leave energy in places. And that's why as you go throughout life, you will just randomly be sitting there driving, and then you get a flashback to your childhood, or you get a flashback to something last week. Your energy is left there. You've got to call that energy back. And so that's something that I teach in a different course, and that's also something that I teach during coaching. But in other words, you know, if somebody's calling you a liar, if somebody's telling you your experiences are false or they're not real, you're leaving energy there. Then you've got to do the work to call yourself back to yourself. So you may have accidentally been programmed to believe that you're bad, liar, crazy, and this may have caused you to shun yourself away. And you could have had a really beautiful and otherwise experience, like we talked about in the beginning. Like sometimes this is scary, but it doesn't have to be anymore, right? Like this doesn't have to be scary at all anymore. It can be beautiful. We've just got to get there. We've got to move through the crowd. Like the way that I'm seeing it right now is like being at the very back of a concert, and there's all these people and all of this energy, and you can see like your band, your people are up front. And sorry if I'm looking up. This is just how, like, if I'm seeing things with my eyes open, I have a tendency to look up. So you're seeing your band, your people up front, and you've been promised that if you can make your way to the front, you can shake their hands, you can get on stage, you can dance, you can shake it, like you can do all these things, but you're at the back and it's packed like sardines. And so you've got to figure a way out, or figure a way how to get through this crowd, to this like magical moment that you've been promised. And so there's got to be a technique, right? You can't just like go plowing through the crowd. It's not going to work. You're going to get clotheslined or something. I went to a lot of rock concerts when I was younger, so that's why that's coming up. But, you know, like it's not going to work. You're going to have to figure out a way around. You're going to have to get creative. You're going to have to rise above. So if that helps you, if that paints a good picture. So the problem is when we start retreating, when we start telling ourselves, thank you, Dee Dee, when we start telling ourselves that this isn't true, we're making this all up in our heads, we're crazy, like this is only for special people, or this isn't real, like the only thing that's real is the things that we can see, then you're leaving yourself with absolutely no support. You have no support. Not only do you not have support from people outside of you, like you can't talk to your family and friends about it, which I understand, but now you don't even have support from yourself. Now you don't even have yourself backing you up, saying like, no, this is real, you experienced this. Why are you pretending like it didn't happen? Now it's just like this constant, like you're telling yourself, get away from me, again, exhausting, right? So, and don't feel bad. I think we all do this to a point. I mean, I did it until I didn't do it. Like there was literally a day where I was like, all right, I'm doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. Like I'm exhausted. So, and that was like close to 7 years ago, I think. So it's a process, and it's a part of the process. And I think just like there's duality in everything. So if we only experience the positive things, then it might not be so great for us. Right? Like there might not be the drive to want to change. There might not be the drive to do the inner work. There might not be the drive to say like, okay, I'm ready for my next level now. What does that look like? And if you experience the negative things, if you experience the things that don't feel so good, then you can say, I'm not willing to feel like this anymore. I'm not available for this anymore. I want to change my life, and I want to take the right steps to do it and look at myself and work through my blocks and figure out who I am, because that's what happens with this. And I'm jumping ahead, but when we do the intuitive work, the whole intuitive development course is about developing your intuition, but it's more so about developing a relationship to yourself, figuring out how to get back to yourself, finding out who you truly are. Because, and I'm jumping way ahead, but I didn't realize that I didn't know myself until I started doing this work. I didn't realize how detached I was, how cruel I was to myself, how I just didn't realize. I didn't realize it until I started doing this work. And then I was like, oh man, you're pretty cool. I like hanging out with you. And that was another thing. I used to despise being by myself, which is really hard to do when you're married to someone who works overnight. And I despised being by myself. And after I started working with like, okay, I want to get happy, I'm going to figure out my intuition, I'm going to meditate, then I started really enjoying my own company. And now I have to have my own company. You kind of become your own best friend in a good way, in a healthy way. So, okay, so I'm going to read off of this slide. Some of it I may have already said, but so when we deny ourselves of who we are and we deny ourselves of our experiences, we create separation. And so for a lifetime, you've had real experiences that you tried to convince yourself out of. And this was just to make yourself get in alignment with other people's beliefs. So AKA, you were subconsciously trying to make other people more comfortable around you. And this is when I realized, like, oh shit, I've been a people pleaser my whole life and I never realized it. If you would ask me, I would say absolutely I'm not a people pleaser. If you would ask my mom, like I said the other day when I was younger, she'd be like, no, like she's selfish. She doesn't want to babysit all the time, or she doesn't want to do this all the time. Like, I would kind of look at myself and be like, no, I'm definitely not a people pleaser, but I am, or but I was. I'm recovering, right? I'm working really hard to recover. And part of my people pleasing is I always wanted to make people comfortable around me, even if that was at my own expense. I needed people to think I was super nice, even if that was my own expense. I just did this recently. I had someone, like, and I don't want to get into it because I don't even want to feed a lot of energy. I'm over it. I've decorded from it. I've disconnected it. But just to give you an example, this was like the pivotal moment where my friend pointed out to me, she's like, you realize you're people pleasing, right? And you don't need to be. But this person just completely attacked me, attacked my character, like not being a nice person at all. And I'm like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I know how you feel. Like, I'm like trying to make this person feel more comfortable about attacking me. Until I finally was like, I just, like wrote in there, like, I'm just not available for this. I honestly don't have the energy for this. And I stood up for myself and I flipped it around, and I was still respecting myself and respecting this person. And now if that comes up for me, I visualize the person and I visualize sending love to that person. That is actually what I do. So I have a whole process of like healing and disconnecting and feeling and looking at, like, it becomes second nature to you over time. But that's the thing, because I have spent so much time trying to say, oh, that not that I would conform to who people wanted me to be, because I was actually pretty rebellious, but I would always still try to make people comfortable around me, or I would just be quiet, right? In an effort to make them more comfortable. So we will take the things that people have said to us, the things that we have said to ourselves, and create a whole separation. And so here's what this does. When you're denying yourself of yourself, when you're denying yourself of the true you that is you, it tells your higher self that you're not enough. It tells you that you're not enough. So not only are you feeling it from other people, but now you're saying it to yourself and you're affirming it. It keeps you from sharing your true light. And that's a total bullshit disservice. Sorry for my language. I hope there's no kids around. Disservice to the whole world. Because if you're not sharing your light, one, you're not doing what you came here to do. You came here to be a specific person. You came here to be you. You didn't come here to be everybody else. You came here to be you. And so the world needs your light. If everyone could just be wholly authentic, say what they felt, like, we wouldn't even have to really worry about all this empath stuff, like protecting our energy, because we would just know, right? We would know, it would get out, it would move on. But you came here to be who you are. You came here with an authentic and unique light, voice, perspective, way of healing, way of sharing, way of feeling. You came here with that. And so it is your job to share that. So if you're not being who you are, then you're doing a whole disservice to the world. Do you want to heal this world? Do you want to help this world like elevate? That's where we're at right now. We're shifting. Our whole world is shifting. We can look around us and see like everything's changing. We don't understand it. We're in the middle of it, but it's definitely shifting. So why don't you do your part and just be the you that is you? That's all you got to do. Easier said than done, right? So it keeps you from expressing your truths. So again, if you're not sharing your authentic light, if you're denying yourself of who you are, if you're telling yourself you're crazy, or you're telling yourself you're bad, or you're saying like, I don't know if it's for me, I don't know. Like I can like see some people doing that. Like, I don't know if I'm that good. I don't know if I'm that special, because that was me. Like, that was me. I'm like, I do believe in psychics. I don't believe I am one. Like, I don't believe I'm a medium, because we feel like it's reserved for special people or something. And that's not true. We're all special people. Like I said a few minutes ago, we all have our gifts, our talents, our ways of receiving. They just look different for everyone. And again, that's because You are here for your own unique light, your own new unique perspective and ways of sharing and ways of receiving. And so when you start blocking your truths, when you don't express your truths, you start blocking your chakras. And so over time, your chakra centers become blocked, and that affects your physical body, and that affects your mental health, and that affects your reality, yes, and your relationships. It's like a whole domino effect. So do you guys see that whether it's stress, whether it's, this exhaustion, whether it's depression, everything inside of us that's happening in here, happening in our spirit, then affects our mental health, then affects our physical body, then it ripples out into our reality. So if we want to change something out here, we've got to start in here. And the way that we start in here is by saying, like, I'm not afraid of myself anymore. I'm not afraid of this. I'm not afraid to be who I am. I want to look at it though. I want to get clear on who I am. I want to understand who I am. That way I don't have to be afraid to share who I am, because now I know. Now I have the validation that I am amazing and I'm awesome. And now I have the validation that these experiences are true. They're not just coincidences. I haven't had 50 coincidences this week. Like, there's got to be something to this, right? So it affects your chakras, it affects all of it, and that's what we get to work on. We get to work through that. So when you deny yourself of your authenticity, this can obviously create depression as you try to exhaust yourself into molding into someone else. And I was giving a reading for an old client. She's a friend now, but I was giving a reading for her. And I've never seen her face to face. I've never seen her family. I think I've seen one picture of her. But anyways, her daughter kept coming up over and over and over. And her daughter, I think, is like 7 or 8. And her daughter's been having like a lot of outbursts, I guess. And this all came through in the reading, having some outbursts. And what I saw, like, sometimes I see very intuitive kids and occasionally the very intuitive person, which I did yesterday, which I usually don't see adults like this. But I see very intuitive kids as just like this explosion of color. Like, they don't even look like a kid to me or a person or a body. They just look like color, and it's so beautiful. It's like all the different chakra colors, and they're just big and they're like flowy, and the energy's always moving. And so I saw her daughter like this, and then I usually don't tap in for kids. I usually don't tap into anyone that's not there ethically, for ethical reasons, but I do allow their spirit guides to give me something if we need it, right? So if it will help her mom, help her. And so what I saw was an ice cube tray, like a regular little ice cube tray. And I saw all of her friends fitting into the ice cube trays like Play-Doh, like regular Play-Doh was like in each one of the molds. And then there's this little girl, and she's trying so hard to fit into this mold, but she's not stick with me here. This is how clairvoyant people see things. She's not Play-Doh. She's like the sparkly, bright purple, gold fleck slime. And she's trying to fit all of this like bright, gooey, ooey stuff into this tiny little mold, and it's not working because that's not where she's meant to be. And I think if you guys stuck with me through that analogy, I think so many of us tried to do this. And I know I tried to do this for so many years. Like, I was just trying to make people more comfortable around me, or I was trying to dress how they wanted me to dress, or like, do I fit in this niche? Do I fit in this niche? I really, really like punk music, but sometimes I like country music. Do I have to pick one? Like, just crazy things that we say to ourselves, and we go through these crazy like scenarios and make up these rules for ourselves. And if we didn't do that, then we wouldn't put so much strain on ourselves and cause such a disconnection from our higher selves. Are you guys still with me? Am I making sense? You can let me know if I'm rambling, but I'm working on my people pleasing, so I'm probably just gonna say thank you. So the higher self gets saddened, and then you have to do work to rebuild that relationship, and it really does take work. The more that I started doing, thank you, Allie, the more that I started doing the intuitive work, understanding my chakras, opening up my clairvoyance, working with my clairaudience, putting a finger on those different intuitive abilities and then working through them and then seeing the tests and challenges that came up for me, sitting with those, working through them, and then leveling up again. Like I always see it almost like a Super Mario game where you keep leveling up. The more that I did that, the more I got closer to my higher self. And when I would stop tuning into my higher self and just try to, like, because I was so excited that I was on this path, I just wanted to tune into my spirit guides, or I just wanted to do readings, then I would realize things would get harder and harder for me again. And so anytime now I see things getting harder, or I feel myself judging people, or I feel myself judging myself, I say, isn't that interesting? What is this trying to show me? And it's usually that I haven't tuned in, checked in, been in alignment with my higher self. Okay, so separation from the higher self can leave you feeling like something is missing in life. And this is like the biggest thing that I see all the time is people are like, I have everything. And that was me too. Like, I have everything. I had the house, I had the husband, I had the kid. Like, I had everything from the outside looking in. But it honestly felt like I was missing something and I couldn't put my finger on it. I was still trying to get happy. Like I told you guys, my process was first trying to get happy, and then I was trying to meditate. And it wasn't until I figured out what my higher self was, and then I did my inner child work, where I sat down and I meditated, and I'm like, okay, show me what you need to show me. And I didn't know who I was asking, because at that time, I don't think that I really knew what a spirit guide was. Maybe I'd heard the term, but I just sat down and I was like, show me what you need to show me. And then I start going through all this inner child work and these different scenarios, and I start pulling myself back to myself and making myself whole. And so it wasn't until I figured out who I was and all the things that have been hurting me and all these blocks and all this baggage I've been carrying that I realized, like, nothing is missing in my life. I've been missing. I haven't been true to myself. It was like, I'm here driving a bus. I'm driving a bus. It's like going through traffic with no cares. And then my higher self is at the back near the exit door. And so she's always with me, but she wasn't a part of me. I wasn't allowing her to be a part of me. And so when we do this work, when we do the steps that are in the intuitive development course, we begin to develop a very strong, lasting relationship with our higher selves that becomes very apparent if we step away from it. Like you guys, I can't even express to you how this becomes so second nature. Because once you're up here, once you experience it, once you feel that self-love, once you feel what it's like just to have your higher self going with you, being merged with you, you won't want to go back. And anytime you start to slip, you're going to be like, oh, something's off. How do I get back on track? And all it is I want to see myself through the eyes of my higher self. I want to see this experience through the eyes of my higher self. And then you do the steps, you check in with your intuition, you sit down, you meditate, you open up the clairs that you need to open up, you invite in the guidance, and it's there. And you're back on track like that. It doesn't take months again. It doesn't take weeks again. Sometimes it only takes a few seconds. Okay, so so separation from the higher self can leave you feeling like something is missing. Obviously depression, obviously anxiety. It holds you back from many opportunities and the easier path. And that's not something I think a lot of people think about when they think of the higher self. But here's the thing. Your higher self will always steer you in the right direction. Your higher self will always give you what you need to know. Your higher self is going to say what you need to hear. It's not always going to be what you want to hear, but that's how you're going to know that it's the truth. That's how you're going to know that it's validation, is if you're hearing something that's pushing you out of your comfort zone, that is still completely loving, or that's like, yeah, you know that you need to stop doing this, or you know that this is lowering your vibration, but it feels good, but I want to stop. Like, whatever it is, you're going to know that's coming from your higher self. And so our higher self paves the way for us. When we are not in alignment with our higher self, we're not allowing ourselves to be connected to our higher selves, to the universe, to our spirit team, however you see it, you're walking through the mud in flip-flops, and that shit is hard. Have you ever tried it? Like, you're walking through, the way I'm seeing it right now is like thigh high dirty clay mud and you're in flip-flops when you're not merged with your higher self, because it's just a struggle. Things get harder. You don't see your worthiness, so you're not willing to go after the opportunity. You think something might be too hard and you're just not willing to struggle like that. And you don't even realize that if you just had your higher self with you, one, you wouldn't struggle. Two, you'd see it as an opportunity and something exciting versus a challenge, right? So we miss so many opportunities. We miss so much guidance when we are connected to the ego self instead of the higher self. And the ego self is loud, and the ego self takes charge, and the ego self says, no, stay here. Like, I know that this is not where you want to be, but at least you're familiar with this. Like, don't try to get a new job. If you try to get a new job, what if you hate it? Just stay here with these people that you already know that you don't like. You're comfortable. You know, like, that is the ego. That is the ego. The ego will hold you back every time, and it gets a bad rap because it's just trying to keep you safe. But you can say, thank you, ego. I invited my higher self now. So if you are also disconnected with your higher self, you might feel feelings of lack, sadness, worthlessness, and the emptiness. And the worst one for me that I can look back and notice, and then I've noticed it, I went through like a rough patch a few months ago, just with all the COVID stuff. I had like a rough couple of, maybe I would say like 2 weeks. But that's another thing, you guys. Like, I was able to pinpoint it. So I dealt with a lifetime of depression, and I start merging into a little bit of depression. Then it's getting past a week, and I'm like, like, no, ma'am, you are not going back here. And so I start doing the work, and I start looking at what I'm missing and what I'm feeling and what needs to shift and what needs to change. And again, I go through all of the same steps that I teach in the course. I go through all of the same steps that I teach you guys on coaching calls, on any of my programs on here, because it's what works. Like, there's no need to reinvent the wheel, as people say. Like, those steps work. So I was feeling apathetic, and for me, that is the worst feeling, because I do feel so much. Like, whether it's one extreme or the other, I feel so much that if I'm feeling apathetic, that to me is like, whoa, so I talk sometimes about energetic minimums when it comes to like money and things like that, but that is my energetic minimum for my vibration. Does that make sense? Like, if I'm feeling like I just don't care, like I literally just don't care, that is my energetic minimum. That is my rock bottom. And that is when I know, girl, you need to take a couple days and you need to sit with yourself and you need to do the work, right? So feeling like you can't see the light, and just always being in struggle mode. I see so many people like this, and it breaks my heart for them, and I want to shake them, including, you know, some of my closest friends, some of my family members. When I see them in struggle mode, and they're like, they just have this belief that life sucks, that life is out to get them. They have this belief that just the world is this terrible place. And yes, if you're looking at it and you've had these experiences, it can absolutely feel like that. I used to be like that, which is why my heart breaks for people now, because it's not like that. The world is beautiful and the world is flowy and shit works out all the time, and good things happen to good people, and good things can happen if you've made mistakes. Good things are always available for you. One, you've got to ask. Two, you've got to be ready. Three, you've got to figure out the steps to remove your own doubt in yourself that this can happen for you. It's not about luck. There's not like a ton of lucky people. It's what is the vibration you're in? Are you a vibrational match for this thing that you want, right? So life is not hard. Life is not bad. It's we are out of alignment with who we are. If life is a struggle for us, we are out of alignment with our soul's purpose, our soul's path, and our higher self. And that's not bad. We're all there. We all get there at some time. It's just, how willing are you to look at it? How willing are you to change? How bad do you want to stop seeing the world like that? How bad do you want to believe that things can be good for you? How bad do you want to change and feel good? It starts with in here. It starts in here. It's not out there. This person isn't doing it to you. This person isn't doing it to you. This person, like I keep saying, I feel like the rug got pulled out from underneath of me the other day when they just up and told us, hey, kids aren't going back to school tomorrow. They didn't do it to me. It's an opportunity. One of the first, I got really mad. I got really pissed off for a minute. I'm more pissed off for just, I'm not even going to get into it. It's just, I feel bad for the kids, but it is an inconvenience, and I do feel bad for the parents that like have to get a babysitter or take off from their job. Like I did get mad about it, but the very next thought in my head was, oh, that's interesting. I have a big class to teach this week. Is this trying to take me off of my path? Is this trying to derail me? Is this an opportunity for me to get even more focused and even more in alignment and, you know, meditate more and be with myself more? That's so interesting. And my whole energy shifted. Could you just feel my energy shift right there when I just said that? I was like, I was so pissed off and the rug got pulled out from under me. But then I looked at it as an opportunity, and I can feel my body move. I can feel my body move in space and time when I am shifting like that. And so that is where these things come from. Like, nothing bad is happening to you. There are circumstances in the world that are unpleasant, unideal. There are bad things. Bad things do happen. But we get to grow from every single lesson. Every lesson is a blessing. Every person, every experience, everything is an opportunity to teach us and shift us. It's just you got to be available for it. And no one said this inner work is easy work. If it were, then I think everyone would be doing it. You got to be ready. You got to be willing to say, like, enough is enough. I'm not willing to look at life like this anymore. I'm not willing to live this way anymore. It's being the teacher, and this is an accident, like I didn't even mean to do this, but it's like with all that's going on right now, but it's being the teacher who says, okay, I'm only ever going to make $32,000 a year, but I know that this is my path, but my family deserves more. And it's being the teacher who now is creating a course online for other teachers and is selling it, and was just, fell into it by accident. And now she's got this extra stream of income coming in. It's being the person who went from being incredibly sick and deciding, I'm not ready to give up yet. I'm not willing to live my life this way, and making small changes every day and becoming the happiest, healthiest person that everyone around them knows. It's small baby steps at a time, but it's being consistent and being there for yourself. Okay, some of that came from spirit. That was definitely being channeled. So give me a second. I need a sip of water. Okay, where are we at? Okay, so denying your intuitive side can wreak havoc on your relationship with yourself. We already talked about that. Like, I lied to myself about so many of my experiences. I lied to myself about who I was. I lied to myself about the things that I felt, both, you know, emotionally and empathically. I had no relationship with myself. I had no relationship with myself. And I couldn't even look myself in the eye. Like I talked about yesterday when I was trying to do that exercise of I love you, I love you. I couldn't do it. I physically could not do it. It took me like beating the counter and realizing that there was something wrong that I couldn't do that. Oh, 1 second, guys. Hey, baby.
It's lunchtime.
Okay.
And I have to be back at 1:15.
Okay, thank you. I will be out in just a second. You shut the door, please. It's lunchtime, and he has to be back at 1:15, which means we have a couple more minutes because he needs to eat. And he let the dog in. Riker's in here. So, okay, guys. So I didn't have that relationship with myself, and I spent so many years just trying to outrun myself.
Julie, can I watch TV?
Yes. Hey, I'm still here. This is so funny. It's just so interesting and different from most classes that I do, where it's like super quiet. It's just me and you guys. But I'm so grateful to have such a good son. Like, he's 6 and he's so mature, and he's just the best little guy. He really is. Just a side note, like I got so sad for him earlier, and just for all the kids and for the teachers, because Zoom wasn't working for them, and then he couldn't find papers, and he never, like, he doesn't cry unless something's really wrong, and he was just so frustrated. And I was in the shower and he came in there like bawling because he didn't want to bother me. It's just so, we get to focus positive energy for them and for our world right now. So I just asked if we could all this is completely separate, but there's a lot of people on here, and our world needs a lot of healing, and our kids and our teachers and everyone needs a lot of healing. So if we could all just take a minute, but just take a breath and let it go. Take another breath. And let it go. And if you guys could just keep breathing, and I just want to visualize our world, just our whole world. And in the center of it, just in the center of the world, I want you to see this purple, just ball, this moving energy, and how it's small, and how it's surrounded with, what they're showing me is just kind of like some bricks. Almost like it's the heart of the earth that's just shrunk and it's just blocked off because she's hurting and she's trying to protect the last of what she has to give us, last of the good stuff to give us. And so I want all of us to just visualize, just putting our hands on those bricks that surround the heart of the earth. And just sending our love, sending our energy there, knowing that it's all going to be okay. Knowing that this is all just an opportunity to grow, for all of us to look deeper within ourselves, to see other humans as souls on their path, having their own experiences, growing through their own challenges, learning their own lessons, being teachers for us. Take a deep breath in. And as we send it, the heart just grows and grows, and these bricks around it, they just break and crumble, and the heart keeps growing. And we want to send a little bit more love for our kids, that they navigate through this with coming out of it stronger, happier, healthier, more knowledgeable, more free-spirited than ever before. That they take the time to appreciate and reconnect with Mother Earth herself, and that we teach this to them. And that all of those who are hurting or in pain right now, remember that there's so much more available to them. There's so much inside of them and so much outside of them that loves them unconditionally that they can't see, that they get to tap into now. And we send more love and more love and more love to this earth, and we just remind her that we love her and we love all of the people, especially the people who challenge us, especially the people who have hurt us, because they've taught us so much. They've taught us that it's time to get connected with ourselves again. They've taught us that it's time to grow. They've taught us that it's time to heal. They taught us that it's time to let go and time to forgive so that we can set ourselves free. And again, we remember that they're a soul on their path, having their own experiences. So we see this light of the earth begin to grow and grow and grow, and now it's so big that it's outside of the world, creating an aura around her. This big, huge purple aura of love, of light, of healing for every living being, every ancestor, every spirit in the universe at large, just creating this whole healing, elevating vibration. We just send it now. And take a deep breath in. And we let it go. Thank you guys for doing that very random, impromptu meditation with me. I felt really guided. All of that just came up from spirit as we were talking. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely felt this kind of relaxed, blissful energy come over me. So, okay, where were we? So, when I was denying myself of my higher self, when I was denying myself of who I was, I self-sabotaged a lot, whether that was with the people that I was hanging around, the things that I did, drinking too much, partying too much, whatever it was, I self-sabotaged. And oh, you're welcome, Andrea. And even when I was younger, as a teenager, I self-harmed too. Like I said, I unfortunately thought about taking my own life at times. It was just a really, really, I had a lot of things to work through, and I never had the tools to work through them, right? And anytime I tried to get help from my mom or an adult, I felt like they just thought that I was crazy, and I just couldn't. I had dealt on and off with actual medicine for depression, and every time for me it seemed to get worse, or I seemed to just become a zombie, and that apathetic feeling would come up. So no longer did I feel in pain and depressed, then I would feel apathetic, right? And so I just lied to myself for so many years. And I was living in fear of myself. I was living in fear of my experiences. And I just felt like I could not catch a breath of fresh air. That's how I felt until I decided to say, okay, I'm done. What do you want? Show me the way. And I started working to get happy. And I tapped into my intuition simultaneously. And that is what I teach you in the intuitive development course. Again, it's not just about becoming a medium or becoming a psychic. It's about tapping into your own clair, getting to know who you are, working through some of your stories, working through some of your limiting beliefs, protecting yourself as an empath, working through a lot more fears than we're talking here today. Just, it's so much. I think every single person needs this course because it truly does change lives. If you've read some of the reviews, and I had a big long one come in yesterday, it does change people's lives because it's overall. This isn't like I said, I don't even know anyone that has a course like this, because if you go sign up for a mediumship course, they're going to teach you, here's how you connect with a spirit. If you sign up for a spirit guide course, that's what this is for. And I'm not knocking those. I have some of those courses myself. But this is a big course. This is like it's over 30 videos. And then after a week, I'm going to pull all these down and add this content as bonus content for you guys to have over and over and over again as well. And it's always a lifetime. Once you sign up, you get it for a lifetime. It's not, the course is going to close December 1st, so midnight on November 30th. It's going to close, but you still have lifetime access. You can watch these over and over again every day, work some of the steps that feel good to you, skip over the ones that don't, go back to the ones that feel good, and then when you're ready, go back to some of the other steps. Does that make sense? Like, this is a process. This isn't one and done. This isn't, I do this today and then I never have to go back to it again. It will become second nature if you stick with it. Okay, so we have 3 slides that I'm gonna run through quickly. So how to start trusting yourself and your intuition. And there are multiple lessons on this inside of the course, multiple deep dive lessons. Actually, one of the videos I just did the other day, it's right up front. It's it's about trusting, but I'm gonna do like a brief overview. So start meditating, call in your guides, call in your spirit team, set the intention to raise your vibration, start connecting with your higher self, and do the inner child work. And so, it's just creating that space daily, or at least a couple of times a week, is gonna have you trusting yourself. Because if you can commit to showing up for yourself a couple times a week, then you're already starting to build that bridge or build that bond with your higher self. Now, how do you do all of these things? That's inside the course. How do you work with your guides and spirit team? Inside the course. And how do you raise your vibe? How do you work with the higher self? All of that is in the course, okay? Ask and be available for guidance. A big complaint that I get all the time, I get emails on this almost every day. I got one today. Why does my intuition just pop through randomly? Like, why does it come through and then I try to sit with it, I try to connect, and I get absolutely nothing? Well, I would ask you, how much consistency, how much space are you making? Are you flexing the right muscles? It comes back to that again. Are you flexing the right muscles? So many people, actually I had a spirit guide session with a guy yesterday, and first he was like, oh, I have a spirit guide. It was so cute. He was like, I have a spirit guide. I was like, yeah, a bunch. But then he's like, I explained to him how we need to be using the right sense. So if you're clairaudient and you're trying to use your clairvoyance to connect, well, you're not going to get very much probably. So if you're asking for guidance and you're available for guidance, but you're not getting anything, or you're not getting it consistently, I would invite you to look at what is your strongest clair. Okay. So, and then here's a really, really big one that it took me grasping my intuition, working with my intuition, and then my intuition almost completely shutting down for me to understand, because that does happen. Are you protecting your energy enough to tap in? Okay, and this is not something I've heard anybody else teach on either. So are you protecting your energy enough to tap in? If you are doing too much, if you are not learning to balance being both in the spiritual and in the physical. So when we begin awakening, we're kind of living up here in the spiritual, right? Which is fine. That's where we're supposed to be. It's a blissful, beautiful time. before we awaken, we're kind of down here, super logical. Where we need to be is, I like to be right here. Like if my head is like the earth, I like to be right here because I do this work every single day and that's just how I live my life, right? So I like to be up here. But most people should be around here. And if you're staying up here, then the universe is going to say to you like, okay, girl, you got to balance. You've got to still interact with your fellow humans. You've got to take some time to yourself. You got to do some analytical work or some gardening work and get a little grounded, and then we're going to open you back up. And they do that. And if that does happen to you, like if you're kind of like, my intuition was working and now it's stopping, I would suggest that you ask for a sign that you're still on the right track. But again, it goes back to space, consistency, balance. Are you flexing the right muscles? And then remember too, when it comes to how can we determine our strong clairpoints? So in the course, it goes through each of the traits. There's a lesson for all 4 in there, and it goes through each of the traits on each of them. And so you'll be able to tell like, oh, this is the one that's for me. This is like, I am all of these, I am none of these. Does that make sense? And then I also have a free quiz on my website as well. But if you're going into the course, it's gonna say this is a trait, this is a trait, this is a trait, and you're gonna be like, oh, that's me. It's very easy to tell once you get all the traits lined up. So for you to start trusting yourself and the guidance of your spirit teams and angels, you've got to become a vibrational match. You've got to be available for their guidance. You've got to become a vibrational match. How do we become a vibrational match? We raise our vibration. We open our energy centers. We do the work. We do things that bring us joy. We live in a more joyful state. And again, you know, there's steps to get there, right? So ask for signs. Signs are validation for you. If you think that you got a hit or you're feeling like you might be on the right path, ask for a sign. Ask for a sign. They're like little breadcrumbs. Or ask for a sign, they're validation. Synchronicity is like little breadcrumbs. Pay attention to your peripheral vision. If you see things moving out of your peripheral vision, or you see like flashes of light or sparkles, that's a sign of clairvoyance. If you have ringing in your ears, or you feel like pressure in your ears, or you sense like a pressure change in the room in your ears, that's going to be a sign of clairaudience. Gut feelings, sensing someone's character, this is a sign of clairsentience. Just knowing or feeling like you've got a download, or like you're driving along and you ask a question 2 days ago inside your mind, and then now you're driving and you just know the answer to that question, that's claircognizance. These are also all signs that spirit is trying to get your attention. And then to start trusting yourself and your intuition, like I said, work more with your higher self. Work more with your spirit guides. The more that you call them in, the more that you work with them, the more that you sit with them and acknowledge them, acknowledge their message, say thank you for the guidance that they're giving you, the deeper your relationship will become. And so the more that you accept, the more that you're grateful for, the more you're going to be sent. And so to develop, this is our last little tidbit, and I'm sorry, I'll go through the comments really, really quick, but I do have to get my little guy some lunch. To develop a strong connection, you need to work through your fears of spirit, your fears of yourself, your fears of being honest about who you are. And for those of you wondering, like, what about, like, I'm still in the psychic closet, like, and it's not even about the psychic closet, okay? We can expand that to just truly being authentic about who you are. I just added a lesson for what it's like to come out of the psychic closet, how you can do it, what you should do, things like that. Accept who you are and that you have a divine purpose here. And that was truly like, yes, I'm being led by spirit. Yes, I'm living like a life that I never even dreamt of. And I get to work with people all over the world. The guy that I worked with yesterday was from London, which is super cool. I have another client in Iceland. Like, I am living my dream and I get to do it from my home, right? But the best thing that came out of me deciding to get happy and then deciding to tap into my intuition was meeting myself for the first time, was being like, that's who you are. That's who you've always been. Like, you're a light, you're beautiful. And I'm not saying this in an egotistical way. It was, I feel like I took some kind of cloak off. Like I had never truly seen myself before. And so know, trust, and believe that they're there for you. The more that you know, the more that you trust, the more that they're going to show up for you. The more that they'll have reasons to give you things to trust, things to believe in, right? So become a true and consistent vibrational match, and you'll learn that in the course. Use the right methods for connecting. Know how to work through low vibe seasons like we already talked to quickly get back on track. And then learn when you're being given a test or a challenge. And I kind of touched on that too. Sometimes they will give you a test or challenge just to see, one, if you're willing to stick with it. One, two, if you believe in yourself. Three, if you're willing to find that balance. Okay, so that's all I have for the day. I see so many comments. I haven't even stopped to look at them so far. Oh my goodness. You guys are giving so much love. Our fur kid just passed away, and my oldest saying he could see him, which really made me mad. I guess because I don't know if he is lying. So Maria, I don't know if you told him that made you mad, but I would be willing to bet that maybe he did see him. Not saying that you're wrong for being upset. I can understand that as well, like not knowing and, you know, not wanting him to make the other kid or you feel like your pet is around if it's not. But pets do hang around. They do hang around and they do visit. They'll lay on your bed. And like I said, recently, I don't even remember where I said it, but my family dog I used to see walking, or I still will occasionally see walking around my mom's yard. Yes, we were always late to church and had to walk to the front pew. My son sees glowing things, he says, and is hyper a lot with OCD. Yeah, so you probably do have a very intuitive kid. If you go to my Facebook page, not my profile, my Facebook page, and you go to videos, there's a Psychic Kid workshop. Grab that quickly because I am planning on taking that off of the site, and I wasn't going to tell anybody this, but now I have to. I'll leave it up there for another couple of days, and then I'm going to pull it down because I'm actually going to add that to this course in a couple of weeks. Kids are so innocent and have soaked up. Yes, we do, man. Kids soak up so much. Thanks to Ashley's help and insight, I'm going to knock it out of the park strong. Dee Dee, you're the best. How do we confirm that what we feel is really someone else's feelings, or that the voice in our head is not our own? So, Kelly, in the course where are my words? In the course, those questions are both answered, but to give you a quick rundown, you can just ask. So if you're tapped in with your higher self, you can ask, whose feelings are these? Where is this coming from? And then there is a way to tell, like, okay, is this my voice? Is this my spirit guide? Or is this my higher self? By the way that they're talking to you. So if you can learn to just kind of step back and listen, like, how are they addressing you? Are they saying we as in something outside of you, as in your spirit guide? We as in me and you, so maybe it's your higher self. And then listen to the tone of the way that you're being talked to, as in, like, is it unconditionally loving? If it's not unconditionally loving, it might be your guide or something else or someone else. Hope that helped. You become a version of yourself you think others want to see, which can be so disconnected from your true self. Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys for telling me I made sense. I'm worried because I've had a mentor and met bi-weekly, and I am still oblivious to spirit. So Tracy, I don't know who you are working with. But like I said, I think a lot of mentors, a lot of mediums don't necessarily even know the stuff that I'm teaching in this course because of the way that I break it out. Like I said it yesterday, and I thought about it later. I was like, oh, did that sound like cocky? I really didn't mean it to. But I do have other intuitives send their students to me, and I have coached other mediums, like while I'm talking with them for a reading for me, and been like, have you tried this? And then they try like an exercise and it really shifts for them. I have also had people that have started giving readings long before they probably should, and we're charging for those readings as well. And that's why I also teach about ethics in the course. So, I don't know. I would say like maybe take some of the stuff from these lessons the last couple of days. Maybe that will help you. Like the course will definitely absolutely help you. And then if you ever want to do just one call, we can kind of talk about what you learned. And I'm really good at like assessing pretty quickly because I work with what I know, and then I work with your spirit team too. That was for Tracy Lynn. Yeah, so I'm with Kelly. You have to find out your Claire so you can figure out how to connect best. What if you identify with all of the Claires? So I pretty much have all of them, and this is what I always tell people. The more that you open up, the more that you will open up. So I always, and I say this in the course, I recommend you focusing on 2 to start. So for me, I'm all of them, but I'm mostly clairvoyant and clairaudient. So I started by focusing on my clairvoyance. I realized for me that as I was focusing on my clairvoyance, my clairaudience really kicked up a notch. So I then focused on my clairaudience the most and my clairvoyance, and then I still implemented the exercises from the other 2 clairs a lot as I went along. Oops. I guess I'm frustrated because of the money I've spent on courses and mentorship. I completely understand that, Tracy. I do. And it is an investment in yourself. Like this, like, let's just be honest. This work, like the coach, I buy coaching for myself as well in different areas now, but I started with a mentor too. I was in memberships. Like it is an investment, but like I was saying earlier, where do you want to be, right? And I understand, like, you've already spent the money, so that's frustrating. I'm not discrediting you at all. I would say, like, it's hard because I can't talk to you one-on-one right now, but I would look at the exercises that you've done, or look at the things that you've done, and look at how much inner work has that person led you to do. Because I do believe a lot of this starts with our inner work and helps us with our vibration. You're so welcome, Andrea. Oh my gosh. Tracy, I'm so sorry. So if there's a lot of trauma, there's probably a lot of inner child work that needs to be done. There's a lot of self-acceptance work that needs to be done. There's a lot of reconnecting with your higher self that probably needs to be done. So, oh, sorry, it's citrine. It's my favorite. So yeah, if there are blocks with that, then it is going to be hard to kind of bust through that threshold for spirit. But at the same time, you can say, I am willing to release this. I am willing to heal this. Show me the way, and start working with your guides through that avenue as well. Okay, guys, so I am going to drop the link to the course in here because I know you guys are going to love it. I know that you need it. I know that it is really going to fill a lot of gaps and answer a ton of questions for you. Almost every single question that was in here is going to be answered in the course in depth as well. Again, it's over 30 videos. It is on sale until tomorrow night. It comes off sale tomorrow night, and it jumps up back to the original price. So it'll be... It's $9.99 right now. I think it jumps up to $12.99, and then it closes completely November 30th at midnight. So thank you guys so much for being here. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow for our final session. It's going to be a lot more high vibe, and I'll have my husband here to help me with the little one. I hope you guys all have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon.